And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 97. We are getting so close to 100 episodes. We are still in Canada. We are still talking about Aerostars. It's a hot, humid, muggy day here. I've already done a bunch of shooting today, but I'm so excited to talk about this Aerostar, so I'm still jazzed up. And here we go. Let's get into it. Here we have a 1988 Ford Aerostar, listed for $9,950. Let's do our quick Canadian to US currency conversion. $7,048.67. All right. And just to get this out of the way, it has 114,000 kilometers on it. So let's check that real quick. 70,000 miles. So I think, let's see, maybe I did this wrong. Forgot a zero, but I'm sure the zero will just translate. 114,000, 70,836 kilometers. So 1988, a very old Aerostar in terms of the grand scheme of things, with well under 100,000 miles on it. So definitely a survivor. You can see this beautiful two-tone color. I got lucky that I'm already wearing a blue shirt today. We're going to call that blue over gray. It does say exterior color blue, interior color blue. 2 owners. So this being, and I didn't even say where it is yet, Saint-Germain, Quebec City. So we're still in Quebec, actually. The last one was in Quebec, and that means, ding, 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 I get to butcher some French. So, van, Ford Aerostar, modifie en mini camper, vient avec l'option de ségur arrière d'origine que pouvons assoir 4 personnes. See, I said cat instead of the number 5, so I really know my French. Seulement 114,000. Au compteur. Hitch. Do you say hitch in French? I mean, how do you not pronounce those letters? Hitch à l'avant pour mettre des vélos. Pas de rue. Deux grands tuyaux de rangement à l'arrière et un seul écoute. I hope someone who speaks French is watching this. Vient avec la... Oh, I said that. No. La matala est réduite pour les fenêtres de côte. Parentheses. Velcro. Changement de vient d'être fait et traction anti-roulé. Sounds like an anti-roll bar. Rouler sur les murs, les chaussures entreposées, leurs cheveux. Hitch receiver, maybe? Belle petite pièce de collection extrêmement bien entendue. Rouler très bien, très comfortable. So, belle, beautiful petite piece of your extreme adventure collection. Rouler très bien, very comfortable, very nice. That's my translation. All right. So let's suffer through that. Let's see the translation. Ford Aerostar van modified into mini camper. Comes with the original backseat option that can seat up to 5 people. This is something I recently learned from looking at sales brochures. I've been getting really into looking at Aerostar sales brochures. I have a couple, but I've never, for how obsessed I am with the Aerostar, I never really went down that binging eBay rabbit hole of just like buying all the literature. But lately I've been reading some and I've had some great comments from the Quirky Garage and others, like with information from these brochures. I realize it's actually a wealth of information and I should start at least reading them or buying them up because it does tell you a lot about the different options that were on different years. I recently just learned that I believe you could buy this Aerostar with only one of the bench seats. So you didn't have to get both of the bench seats, but you could get like one and not the other. So it would just be a 5-passenger. And then I guess you save a couple $100 by not buying the rear bench seat. That was really interesting to me. I just saw the different little configurations of what you could order. So that's kind of cool. Only 114,000 kilometers on the counter. Hitch has the front to put, yeah, we'll see in a second, a front hitch. That's pretty cool. No rust at all. 2 large storage drawers in the back and 1 on the side. Comes with mattress and curtains for side windows. Velcro. Oil change just done and anti-rust treatment. Riding only in summer, still stored in winter. Nice little collectible piece, extremely well maintained. Runs very nice, very comfortable. We'll take a tour of the pictures. I gotta say, I've been getting, my 93 is my more recent purchase. My 86, it's a long story, but it hasn't been driven much lately. But the more I look at these sales brochures and stuff too, the more you realize how distinct looking the 80s vans look from the 90s vans. Like, despite the basic shape being the same, now obviously they went through the interior refresh. The bumpers got like a little bit of difference in just the aesthetics. The headlights became fixed. But there's something about the wheels and the mirrors and just the overall look, the front air dam, the grille. They really do look different and special to me. Not enough to like at all be like considered like a different model or different generation. I don't really consider they're a first and second generation because it went through this sort of gradual change and it was at the end of the day really all the same. But I do think that aside from the interior being changed, it went on this long kind of linear evolution as a vehicle, and you can kind of demarcate it from 80s to 90s. Like, 90, the 89 Aerostar to the 90 Aerostar, let's call it, or the 90 to the 91, that's when that change was sort of complete. And by 92, it was kind of totally complete with your interior was different, your lights were different. All-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and extended versions were finally all available, when at first the extended and the four-wheel drive, I believe, didn't come till 89. So anything pre-89 especially is really like a different vintage of Aerostar. And they've really been not growing on me, because that was the first one I had. Like I got into Aerostars based on an early Aerostar. But certainly growing up, a lot of the ones I was seeing when I was a kid were probably 95 through 97. So in the back of my mind, the Aerostar kind of is like the later version of it. And as we scroll through some of these pictures, obviously this is like kind of a cool camper conversion. The 80s ones are really growing on me. Now, again, this is just a feast for the eyes. I mean, it's cool that they have all this camping stuff built in, and it really looks like a really nice camper conversion. I like all this stuff, and I don't mean to overlook the hashtag van life aspect of this Aerostar. It's certainly a noteworthy sort of addendum or characterization of this Aerostar. However, what I can't get over is just this pristine 80s Aerostar and the paint and everything else. I almost want to see the camping stuff, I apologize, but just isn't relevant to me in this particular video, because, and we'll see if we can get some wide angle pictures of it, but just look at the quality of the paint. We have this like weird like Firebird logo here. Very classic scheme. It's kind of like your blue over silver with little red pinstriping. We have these little sort of insignias over your lock. I don't know if that's like an anti-corrosive or a security thing, or if that was factory. If anyone knows what these little things are, I wonder if that was from the factory. We also have an aftermarket running board, which apparently is an Elixir 1000, which is pretty cool. I think I saw this on some dealer's website, how it said aftermarket running board. So I do think that this probably was an aftermarket option. I was wondering if maybe Ford would slap those on from the factory, but it does seem like it was an aftermarket option. Obviously different than the sport versions running boards, which I think are a little bit more stylish. These ones are a little bit more bare bones, but they definitely fit an 80s Aerostar very, very well. Okay, there's a nice like dog in here. And here's where we can see the towing mirrors. The towing mirrors, even on the early 80 stars, Aerostars, you see a lot of these, you don't see a lot of these towing mirrors. You see a lot of the modern style, which are smaller and just looks like a regular plastic, car side mirror. These towing mirrors are so cool because they have these big brackets that bolt into the doors with this big triangular piece. They're very functional. They're very robust. I've like knocked mine a couple of times. They just kind of bend. They don't break the glass. And they have, while they're completely manual and you really have to adjust it by hand, they are, you can move them around and get them to where you want. Mine on my 86 are painted silver. This probably is a factory paint job, but these are painted black, which kind of looks extra slick. And they really do, it's these little things, but they really do add a lot to the look of the Aerostar. And it's a very truck-like feature to have these mirrors. This is when, the Aerostar kind of started out a little bit more truck-like, and then it became a little bit more van car-like as it went on, because the cargo versions of the Aerostar, and I'm learning this now, I know just from anecdotally, you don't see as many of them, but apparently they didn't do quite as well as Ford would have liked, and once you had the extended with the four-wheel drive, it really took over as a passenger vehicle, and is like, the minivan really hit its stride in the early to mid 90s. I believe Ford surpassed Chevy and GMC, and the Aerostar went into like a very comfortable second place behind the Chryslers in terms of their sales figures. Now, they sold over 2 million Aerostars, and this is in a 12-year run, 86 to 97. So you can do the math. I mean, that's well over 100,000, I think more like 150,000 units a year, which for any car nowadays is like really good numbers. But even back then, there was demand for this vehicle. And these towing mirrors kind of went by the wayside, but I do think they're awesome, and they just give like this, especially on an 80s Aerostar. I would kind of like to put these towing mirrors on a 90s Aerostar and see if they kind of like fit and worked aesthetically. But with your steel wheels, these wheels I'm finding are harder than you think to find. Now, when I bought my second 86 Aerostar that I later sold to my buddy Evan, it came with an extra set of these, which I took. I painted them, I put them on my 93, and they look awesome because they have the dog dish hubcaps in there. And I believe these were the same wheels that came on early Rangers. Now, Aerostars have a 14-inch wheel, which is very small, and these, just for standard Ford steel wheels, you think they'd be a dime a dozen, but they're actually kind of a little tricky now to come by. Just with the steel running board and your big towing mirrors and your big steel wheels, like it does evoke like a very 80s-ness to it, and also a very sort of industrial kind of design ethos to it, like where everything is like kind of overbuilt and metal and clunky. Not clunky per se, but just sturdy, it does give an air of being like a really solid vehicle. And you can see it with the hatch open, the door here. White wall, I wish this had white wall tires all around. I'm such a sucker for white wall tires, but these look really nice with the white wall tires. These actually don't have your dog dish hubcaps. These just have your little sort of wheel caps that go in through the back of the wheel. Also a very nice look. And my 86 does have like a steel wheel that's more of, I don't know what the company is. You see them all the time. It might even been a Ford wheel, but it's not quite the same as this one. It's a little bit more bulky and looks like more of like a Ranger wheel. But the white wall tire, you can see really completes the picture on this sort of front. I mean, there's so many things that give it away as an 80s Aerostar here. Also on the other side, we'll probably see, if we can see the front quarter panel, your Aerostar badging was up here on the 80s ones, which I thought was cool, because putting a badge right on your front quarter panel, that's where the Ferrari prancing horse goes, if you get the ones with the yellow prancing horse on. And that really evokes like a sports car thing to me, to put your logo right on the front quarter panel. And later it moved to the back hatch. But I think it's really cool. Look at this, look at this undercarriage. I mean, now you could always spray paint something black and cover up a lot of rust, but you can tell by even, these rocker panels here, these are the first things to go, because a lot of times they're dissimilar metals. And they're just a catch for water, and the water gets in and just spreads its way everywhere. My 93 has a big gaping hole in it that I'm going to have to address, and God knows what it looks like under there when you take that running board off. So you can see just how pristine these running boards and these little brackets that hold the running boards up are. Your differential obviously looks very nice. Your spare tire even doesn't have like crust or corrosion. You could probably actually get that spare tire off, which is next to impossible on a lot of them. You can see your coil spring system here. Just, really amazing condition. Again, they're asking, what is it, $7,000, $7,500 for this. But as we'll see with some more, really nice Aerostars now are going from like 10 to 14 for like quote unquote like collectible condition. So I'd say still a bargain, especially with how low the mileage is on this. And now here we go. Here we get a shot of all the doors closed, and this is just, even it almost looks like it has a little bit of a sepia tone to it, the image. I wonder if this sort of Firebird graphic was standard on there, and it does look like we're missing an Aerostar badge on there, which is interesting. I'm not sure what this little graphic decal is here, but white wall tires, looks like only one tire is not white wall. So on this particular Vantage, you get both white wall tires. You do have your cool front hitch here too that you can put, a bicycle rack on. So that's like very unique. It's like a city bus. And you can see your chrome 5-slat grille with your non-flush headlights just like sort of sunk back in there. Your amber turn signals, and it does also have this like sort of three-dimensional body molding going all the way down with your blue over silver two-tone, your black painted mirrors, maybe even a little lip spoiler on the back hatch there. And you know, these bumpers are so curious to me because they went through so many different variations. A lot of times this middle section would be painted, especially in like the early 90s on the sports. You'd have a black painted section here, this middle section, with, and then gray around it. For a while they were doing these little chrome inserts, and those are really cool to me too. And I'm not sure if the physical construction of the bumper ever changed, or if they just took the chrome inserts out and then painted half the, you know, the middle section of the bumper and then just painted them all gray. So I'm not sure if the molding itself ever changed, but on the earlier ones especially, you do see these little chrome inserts. And as you can see, the bumper isn't just painted like silver, it has this nice gloss blue that matches. So it's sometimes you see these Aerostars and they're two-tone, but then the bumpers are gray, which is almost a tertiary color, which like looks like a little weird. This is like a true two-tone where you just have these, you know, this silver in the middle that's bordered on either end with this beautiful navy blue. And with those black mirrors, I mean, this thing strikes a pose. Look at that. That is just incredible. Oh, yeah. So it's, again, it's the mirrors, it's the grille, the headlights, the running boards, the wheels, all those things give it away as like an 80s Aerostar, and really, really great looking Aerostar. So I was very, very excited about this one. Something about the stance with those running boards just makes it sit like it appear to sit a little bit lower. And you know, even though it only has 14-inch wheels, they don't look too small on it. You have like, you know, your gap between your tire and your wheel arch is just perfect, yet you still have decent ground clearance. Okay, here we have a little coffee cup and sort of an artistic photo, more artistic photos. But even here, like, you know, you have your blue interior with like silver or white, you know, sort of accent stitching going on in your little thing. I mean, this thing is so pristine. You can see all of your contacts still look good. Even these doors, you know, a lot of times where the doors meet anything, there'll be like little dings on the door and the paint. I mean, this just looks so pristine. So I do appreciate this little close-up. Your navy blue interior, really, really cool. Here's your dashboard with some plants. Even your dashboard doesn't look like you have any cracks on it. The blue interior, also kind of an 80s thing and a really cool 80s thing. Now, I wish we did have some pictures of the front of the center console. I'm going to whip through these. I would like to see the seats a little bit better. Looks like it does have like sort of looks like it has the blue on blue with the white pinstriping, which is such a cool look for the Aerostar. There's a pair of blue bench seats for sale right now, and if I could also find a pair of blue front seats, I would consider swapping those out on my 93 Sport, because to have an all blue seat interior with the rest of it being gray, I think just the back seats might be a little bit weird. And I love the gray cloth interior, absolutely like the monochromatic gray interior, but if I could get all blue and it would go with like the teal on the outside, I think that would look really, really cool. Your headliner, your plastic molding, all this looks to be in really good condition from what we can see. And again, those things, not only are they extremely sort of brittle and prone to sagging and stuff like that, but it's really hard to replace them too, because you got to find, like, because it happened to so many Aerostars, you're really going to find one like this and you're not going to take this thing apart to put it in another one. It's too nice. And even if you go to a junkyard and are lucky enough to find an Aerostar, a lot of times those interiors have been like just as sun beaten and warped and stuff like that, and I don't think there's any aftermarket support for these panels. So if you can find one that's really, really nice, believe me, the price is worth it than trying to get like an older one and trying to fix everything on it. That's true for most cars, definitely for Aerostars as well. So this is an absolute time capsule. This would be wonderful in anyone's collection. You're getting a mint condition, you know, original and unrestored classic car for $7,000. Like, yes, I know it's a minivan, I get it, but it's a real piece of automotive history, and I think the styling is only going to age better and better over time. You know, again, I love wedge cars. The Lancia Stratos, the Fiat X19 are just two examples. Those also both happen to be designed by Marcello Gandini. This looks like a Gandini design. I mean, I do have to find out one day if there's a single person that's responsible for the Aerostar styling. But the swoops and angles and simplicity of this vehicle, I mean, and I think as time goes on, the size of it this is what I can't get over with the Aerostar. Like, for how much space you have inside, the size of these things, when you see them in person, they're not big at all. I mean, it's basically like a car. It's basically the footprint of like a compact car, just a little bit taller and maybe a little bit wider, but they're very drivable, very good visibility, very easy to park, and yet you do sit up just a little bit higher. So, you know, everyone likes to sit high nowadays. It's kind of the perfect seating position. It's the perfect size, easy to parallel park. And yet you have so much space and the ability to carry so many people. No, they're not fast. Of course they're not fast. I mean, it's like, and this is probably, I'm guessing, the V6 model. And in 88, let's see that. It might be the 3-liter, because I think 86 and 87, you had the 4-cylinder and then the carbureted 6-cylinder. By 88, they should have all been the 3-liter fuel-injected Vulcan V6. So pretty reliable engine. I hear parts are getting harder to find, but you know, it is still a very mass-produced vehicle by a legacy automaker, so it's not impossible. Your bumpers are intact. I mean, for $7,000, this is like a great deal. And I would even guess that that you should ever buy cars as an investment, but if you were to hold on to this and keep it in pristine condition in another 10 or 15 years, I cannot see how you could lose money on this, because there's just not going to be that many of them around. And I think as like retrofuturism gets hotter and hotter, and as cars change more and more, I just think the design of the Aerostar is so timeless that it's going to only improve with age, again and again and again. It's such a cool vehicle, and this is a really, really special example. So shout out to the owner of this. It says there's only 2 owners. They've done a great job taking care of it. You know, maybe get there's 2 bench seats for like $40 down in Maryland. Maybe decamperize it. Do whatever you want to do, but I would decamperize it, or at least have the option of putting those 2 blue bench seats in the back if you want to carry people around. If you want to go on a little camping trip, it's fine. But summertime cruiser, put it in the garage for the winter. Don't let it rust, and enjoy it. Just really, really great. So there you have it. I hope you all enjoyed that episode. I certainly did. We're getting so close to 100 episodes. We got a lot of special things coming to celebrate 100. It's a cool milestone for us. We're really proud to get there. And thank you so much to all of you that have come along for the journey, commenting, providing information that I didn't know about, and you know, helping me learn about the Aerostar. I hope someone goes up and finds this thing and gets it, because maybe Harry, do you want a second Aerostar? Because you know, you're not going to do much better than this, and just keep it in the garage, and then you'll have, you know, like 2 Aerostars. It looks a lot like your first one. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching Year of the Aerostar here on Janky AF. We will have another one for you very, very soon, and until then, Janky do thanky.
One small step for man, one